In closed session, the board voted unanimously to approve a confidential settlement agreement to resolve an educational dispute where the district received waivers and releases of claims by parents. The parties reached an agreement on a student's placement and services, funding for an assessment and out-of-pocket educational costs, and attorney's fees. My agenda. Do I have a motion to review and approve the open session agenda?
Motion to approve.
So second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, we're moving on to flag salute. Vice President Norwood, would you lead us in the flag salute?
Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Board President Yan.
Thank you, Vice President Norwood. All right, comments from the public. Members of the public may address the board on any subject not on tonight's agenda. However, provisions of the Brown Act, Government Code 54954.2a and .3 preclude any action. As an unagendized item, no response is required from the board or the district staff, and no action can be taken. However, the board may instruct the superintendent to agendize the item for a future meeting. If you would like to address the board on any item on the agenda or one that does not appear on the agenda, please go to www.musd.org, complete the public comments contact form, click submit. For items not on the agenda, your comments will be read into the record under the comments of the public portion on the agenda. For items on the agenda, your comments will be read at the time of that item. The district asks for contact information from all those wishing to speak so staff can follow up on issues brought to our attention. Thank you for your participation in the civic engagement. I would like now to check with Scott to see if there are any comments from the public.
Yeah, we have a couple of public comments. Let me go through them here. The first one is from Tina Ortiz, representing Milpitas PAL softball, and she's of Dixon Landing. As the current president of MNV PAL softball, I just wanted to inquire about the joint use agreement at Thomas Russell Middle School. Parents are concerned with the forced transition, and to help ease their burdens, I wanted the MUSD board to assure our membership they will be working hard to establish a new home for softball. Why do we have to abolish the JUA? The district has the most land available to create a new home, and we should be working together to create a safe place for female students to play softball. Truly a concerned MUSD parent, Tina Ortiz, President, MNV PAL softball. All right. Our second comment comes from Audrey Hudson, also girls softball, and she's at North Park Victoria Drive. I have 3 girls in MUSD, so I know how important it is for them to have equal opportunities. I just wanted to name a few names off the top of my head of all the bright young women who have played softball at the collegiate level that started from Milpitas softball in just the last 5 years. Lisette Mejias, Ashley Nash, Nicole Gardner, Leilani Medina, Liberty Walker, Alexis Eugene, Karina Gutierrez, Alyssa Valdez, Danielle Patty, Jasmine Edwards, Sarah Nelson, Shay Felix, Alyssa Green, Tevene Tate, Louisa Story Garcia, Kamaya Lewis. These are just a fraction of our future leaders. Thank you for investing in them. And another public comment from Kaylin Kunanen of Deanza Court. My name is Kaylin. I am a 7th grader at Thomas Russell Middle School. I played softball in Milpitas for 6 years. I tried to get softball teams for both middle schools. I now play softball year round. So for me, softball is life. Softball in Milpitas introduced me to my best friends who all go to different schools. Is community. I see softball sisters and their families all over Milpitas, like at the grocery store, parks, eating at Big Bear Diner and Las Vegas Taqueria. Although I now play travel softball, I still attend Milpitas games to cheer on my softball sisters and the little sisters. When I see them at the softball field, they still recognize me and greet and hug me as if no time has passed. Is family. My younger sister also met her best friends through softball. We are all now very close and attend each other's birthday parties and sleep over each other's houses. Is past, present, and future. My stepdad grew up in Milpitas and played Milpitas sports. While I played softball in Milpitas, my stepdad learned that he also grew up with a lot of other softball parents and reunited him with old friends. Softball taught me a lot. Teamwork in the game of softball, how to be a better listener and always come prepared, friendship and sisterhood, how to fundraise and network, how to respect others and empower myself and my teammates, how to be there for others when they need support, how to persevere and win, how to lose and learn, how to be a leader. Without softball in Milpitas, I may not have been part of Kirtner's student council and gone to the MUSD board meeting to ask the school board to change our school mascot. I may not have learned how to use my voice to stand up for myself and others or gotten over my stage fright and performed in front of hundreds of people. I may not have been exposed to different cultures and languages. I may not have shared fond memories battling the Salinas, Fairfield, and Vacaville teams during our tournaments, and putting Milpitas on the softball map as a city of spirited and talented young girls and young women. The youth and families in Milpitas need softball. Without it, who knows what the community would be missing. With it, I already know how much the community gains. As my old Milpitas coach, Jerome Toombs, used to have us cheer, who's in the house, in the house, in the house? Milpitas is in the house. All right. And that is the last public comment.
All right. Thank you, Scott.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Moving on to number 11, MUSD 2018-2021 strategic goals. Build a culture of we that engage parents, staff, and community partners in supporting student success. Improve communication system for better outreach to parents, students, and staff. Develop educational pathways that allow students to apply their passion in learning for their future careers. Focus services and support system to ensure that all students are engaged in their learning and are making social, emotional, and academic gains. Identify creative, student-focused strategies to accommodate enrollment growth and ensure healthy learning environments. And moving on to Superintendent's report. Superintendent Jordan.
Thank you, President Liang. I would like to comment on the culture of we and on building pathways for our students. And I believe we heard 2 examples of how sports in our city allows for students to both find a path to their futures and connect them with others in the city, as well as provide them with opportunities for discovering their best selves. And I would like to assure the board that as we work forward with our city counterparts, we do want to look at the joint powers agreement and find a solution that benefits everybody. And I definitely will look at a way to help with building a transition as the city works on finding a new home for the Bobby Sox. I also would like to introduce to the board and our community our special ed and student services director, Mary Jude Dorpinghouse. She was actually offered a position at the beginning of July and only recently has been released from her district to officially fill the capacity of her position as of yesterday. And I'm very excited to welcome her. And I'd like to give her an opportunity to say a few words. Mary Jude?
Thank you, Superintendent Jordan and Board of Trustees. I'm very excited to finally be here. I appreciate the opportunity to serve in this community. As I was looking for a change, I will tell you the culture of we really stood out, and those that were on my interview panel know that that is what initially drew me to Milpitas. That whole concept of being inclusive and working to support all really is a passion of mine, and I was impressed that the strategic plan, that was drafted 3 years ago was really driven by that, and it permeated everything that I saw and everything that I hear. So I'm very happy to be a part of that collaborative process as we serve our students, our staff, and our community. And the other goal from the strategic plan that just really drove home to me is the communication goal. As a person who was trained as a speech language pathologist, like, communication is at the core of everything we do. And I just really feel that, communication is never one-sided. It always involves at least one other person. And I truly believe that together we can do all of those strategic plan goals and work towards them together to serve our students, our staff, and our community. And so I'm very honored to be here this evening. I'm very honored to start yesterday, and I look forward to working with everybody as we work to support our students, our staff, our families, and our entire community, even during these really unique and challenging times. So thank you for this opportunity. I appreciate it immensely and look forward to working in the future.
I'm also excited to introduce the board and the public to our new coordinator of Student Services Special Education, Ms. Stacy Lilliard, who began working with us a couple weeks ago. Stacy?
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Superintendent Jordan. Thanks to the cabinet and other board members. I'm super excited about being here. My former position, I served special needs students in the capacity of a special ed principal from county office. Prior to that, I worked as a school psychologist. So the collaboration component, as well as a focus on social emotional learning, and the culture of we definitely resonates very intimately with me. As a prior caseworker, I worked for Regional Center of the East Bay. So I really get and understand the piece of collaboration and communicating with parents. I understand their needs throughout the school day, as well as beyond that in the home environment. So I have a special place of empathy and place in my heart for what the parents are experiencing and going through as part of the distance learning environment. It's a never-ending level of support that they have to provide to their children. And I think that as a team, we all have to keep that in mind, be mindful of their stressors. I'm just super excited about being here and joining you and joining the Milpitas Unified District and the team, and as we move forward into establishing a culture of we. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Stacy. I have a few recognitions for tonight. I'd like to start with a young lady who is a 5th grader at Burnett. Her name is Vera Louie. And this summer, she donated 150 masks that she made and distributed them through our summer food program. So Vera,
Thank you. And actually, I donated 300 masks.
More.
Thank you, everyone, for appreciating my work. I really appreciate it, and I hope you guys are doing well.
We are. Every time I get to speak with one of our students, it makes me feel really awesome. And I see that you, Vera, have a number of art pieces in the background, and I'm wondering if those are yours.
Well, some are my sisters, and the ones in my background are also my parents, too.
Yeah, it sounds like you have a family of artists and that you are a compassionate young leader. And I look forward to seeing more of what you do this school year for our community and also for those that you work with. And I'm so glad to see you tonight.
Thank you.
For being here. And
Thank
thank you for
Vera.
sharing your accomplishment of 300 masks that you made and donated through our summer food program. Thank you very much. The next person I would like to recognize is, well, actually it's an entity. Our Excel Construction is a local Milpitas construction group that is working with the district on our bond. And this summer they have offered an internship as they did last summer. And so I would like to recognize our leaders of Excel Construction, Steve Winslow and team, for helping to further our strategic goal number 3, developing pathways for students where they can recognize those opportunities that give them excitement and ways that they can tap into a sense of purpose. So Steve and team, I'd like to recognize you for the work that you're doing.
Superintendent Jordan, thank you. Hey, I always have felt, and it's our company mission, to be a true partner in the community. I shared with you, I felt like we could have a safe internship that would expose a Milpitas High School student to the possibilities of a career in the construction industry. And it's not the old-fashioned hammer and nails business that people always think about. And so folks have a really an opportunity. And so I've really enjoyed having Nicholas with us this summer. Again, we were able to keep Nicholas safe and stimulated, and so I hope you had a good summer.
Thank you. And I'm going to be inviting you and some of our other construction leads back September 5th. I'll talk to you more about that for a special study session as we look at our project stabilization agreement and how we can increase the opportunities that you've provided for Nicholas and the student we had last year, Mr.
Johnny
Doe, thank you.
Yeah.
And so that we can expand those opportunities. And with that, I would like to introduce Nicholas Azpieta, who is our Excel student intern this summer. And Nicholas, I'd like to invite you to share your experiences and what you learned.
Yeah, I'd be happy to. I think Mr. Winslow kind of sums it up a little bit where he says, you know, everyone thinks construction is like hammer and nails. I had the fortunate experience to learn that it's nothing like that. I worked in the construction technology team, so I got to see how they were using technology to kind of improve on their projects and just make them better in any way. And I thought that it was really I was really grateful to have that experience because for me it was really insightful to look into the world of construction is and especially technology, which is something that is really important to me, to see how it's being used to help improve lives. And I really like the slogan that Excel Construction has, which is they build to improve lives. And I really like that slogan, and I think it kind of sums up everything they do there. It's just amazing, and I was really grateful to be a part of that, and especially helping with the Randall building.
Were you able to use any of the virtual design construction software
Yeah, so I actually my expertise is in like different other 3D softwares. So they even taught me a bit about the program that they were using called Revit, and I was grateful to kind of learn a new software and kind of employ it. I think that was really cool because Revit is nothing like any other software that I've ever used before, and it was so amazing to see how it could be used.
Great. And Nicholas, is this something that you think you might consider in the future?
I think definitely. Before I had this internship, I don't think construction was something I did think about, and like I don't think it is something many people think about. But it's like with my internship and seeing what it looks like, I think it is something I'm definitely considering going into the future. I think construction is a really amazing field, and I think we're going to need more construction people in the future, especially on the more technology side.
You mentioned Randall. What can you tell us a little bit about what you did for Randall?
Yeah, sure. So with the Randall building, with the team that was working on the Randall project, I what I did is I worked on the framing of the building. So like in doorways and stuff, there's like a metal frame around it, and also metal framing in the walls. So I worked on a bit of that and pretty much helped wherever I could. And I was just really grateful to kind of be a part of that experience. I feel like I learned a lot from it.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you for sharing with us. And I look forward to connecting with you more this school year to see what else you're up to. Are you
Thank
in
you.
the Digital Business Academy?
I'm not. I'm in the engineering. Yeah, ETech. I'm in ETech.
Great. Awesome. Well, thank you, Nicholas.
Thank you, Ms. Jordan, and thank you, Mr. Winslow, again for this opportunity. I'm really grateful to be a part of it.
Yeah, looking forward to keeping in touch.
Yeah.
Me too.
Thank you.
Thank you both. I would like to recognize Mr. David Houghton. He is one of our, I'd like to refer to him as one of our elders in our community who has taken a keen interest in supporting all of us here in Milpitas Unified, and especially in the work that we do to create learning experiences for our students of all ages. And he recently donated $100,000. And you might recall that he donated $10,000 this past spring to each of our schools. And with this particular donation, he has earmarked it for supporting all of our team members with furthering their professional development and understanding of teaching and working with distance learning so that we can better enhance the environment that Nicholas and Vera are experiencing at this time in MUSD Educate Everywhere. So Mr. Houghton, I'm not sure if we were able to, Scott, were we able to get Mr. Houghton online?
No, we weren't able to get him for tonight.
Okay. I know Mr. Houghton recently was ill, and we will make a personal thank you to his home again, as we did earlier. And President Lien, I know that you've talked with him recently. Would you like to share anything more?
I think he fell and he said that he has, his eye is all black. So I asked if I can come by to pay a visit, and he said, no, not now. I'll let you know when. So I will reach out to him in a couple of days.
Okay.
Let's see if he's doing okay.
All right, I will too. Thank you. Now, later in our board meeting, you're going to hear how many meals our fantastic student nutrition services team members, as well as other MUSD volunteers, provided to our Milpitas youth up to ages 18, as well as some of our adults. And they did a tremendous amount of work since March 16th up into this day. And I wanted to take this time to recognize the whole team for their work under our director, Sandy Nguyen, our supervisor, Sucheta Guiana, and Fatima. So I would like to take the moment now to recognize all of you for your work. Sandy?
Thank you, Superintendent Jordan. We actually have almost half of the department here who are able to join tonight, and I'm very glad that they are able to. I think this is a true honor for us to represent the district with high integrity and high standard during this time, and have the opportunity to serve the greater Milpitas community. All of our staff who came together to support the meal program, they really showed me how much we can achieve collectively, and what we accomplished these few months together is beyond what I would ever expected and imagined during the crisis. We didn't just survive, but we actually thrived during this pandemic. Our staff are very compassionate, very competent, very adaptable, and they always have this positive and can-do attitude. So they are almost unstoppable. So I truly feel very proud of all of our accomplishments and to be part of this department. Thank you, Board and Superintendent Jordan, for this acknowledgement.
Welcome. And because half of them are here, I would like for us to recognize them. So I see on the second page of my screen, I see Irma Sanchez. Irma, would you mind saying hi? Thank you, Irma. So if you're one of our student nutrition services members, could you pop on and say hi and say your name for us?
Hi, my name is Carmen, and I was happy to serve our community.
Irma? Okay, how about Kay?
No, me llamaron a mí primero, pero no.
Hi, I'm Kai Keys. I'm happy to serve meals.
And David?
Hello, everybody. David Grunstrom, store delivery driver, and it was an honor to be able to get all the food to the kids to be able to eat, especially the adults. And I've got to give my hats off to Sandy, especially with what happened last Sunday when we had no power at the warehouse. She reached out to 2 school districts. They helped us out by allowing us to store our frozen products in their freezers until we got the power back up.
Yes. Carmen?
Hi. It was a pleasure for me to serve you, to serve our community. Feels good to help the families in this situation. Thank you.
Rochelle?
Good evening. I'm so proud to be a member of this team, helping the community during this time of pandemic. Thank you so much.
Aria? You're on mute, Aria. I could tell by your smiles that you have a lot to say, and if you could just unmute so we could hear you.
Oh, hi, good evening to all. We're always happy to serve our students here at the school.
Thank you. Daisy?
Oh, okay, hold on a second, please.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for letting me in. And then, finally, I can finish the whole summer. That's a go through that's a summer, that's a helping and feeding the kid for this program. Thank you so much.
Carolyn?
I'm Vera's mom. I'm not a member of the Student Nutrition Service.
Thank you. Gina? Guada?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you.
Okay. Hi. Yeah, it was interesting doing what we did. And I mean, this team is just incredible. Um, whatever what was asked of everybody, we all jumped in together, and we knew who we were supporting, and it was our families of this school district and beyond, the whole community. So hats off to Sandy, because she really ran this program amazingly, and it was an honor to be a part of it. So yeah, hats off not just to Sandy, but our whole group. I mean, we actually came together, and just real quick, I know a lot of families in this community because I used to coach soccer here for a lot of years, and I got so many thank yous from these families because they were able to pick up food for their kids every age. So it is. I just wanted. I'm totally appreciative of what we were able to do for this community. So thank you for allowing us to do that.
Thank you. And Natalia? Okay, how about Maravik? Or Linda? Anybody else from Student Nutrition who'd like to say hi?
Hi.
All right. We would greatly appreciate the work that each of you has done. And as Guada and David pointed out, it's really a whole team. And you, as I said later in the meeting, we're going to hear about how you served close to 500,000 meals from March 16th to the beginning of school. So thank you. Tremendous thank you to all of you.
All right, thank you, Superintendent Jordan. We are moving on to item 13, Superintendent's Executive Cabinet Reports. Members of the Executive Cabinet will have recent significant information to present to the board and share with the public on topics that are not on the agenda. Reports are limited to 3 minutes each. Superintendent Jordan.
Thank you. I would like to first start with our California School Employees Association President, Michelle Kessinger.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening, Michelle.
Thank you, Superintendent Cheryl Jordan, President Honlin, for having me here tonight. It was such an honor and amazing to hear all those classified employees from Student Nutrition just singing praises about how honored they were to serve our community. And I think we just owe them a huge round of applause and of appreciation for all the work that they've done and stepping up to the plate, as well as the administrative staff. You guys have done a fantastic, fabulous job. It's much appreciated. As a CSEA president, I serve at the pleasure of over 315 members of the California School Employees Association, Chapter 281. But we not only have 315 members, we have over 350 classified employees in our district. Part of that classified employees are the noon duty supervisors, who I want to give a shout out today to say thank you for taking care of our children while they're at their lunchtime and supervising them and really doing important work that is pretty much unseen because they are on the playground with our students. And sometimes we forget those who we have not seen or we have not interacted with on a continuous basis. I just want to give them a huge shout out tonight. I want to give a quick update, Cheryl, about what we have done since March. In March 13th, I remember the call that we had to go into shelter in place. It was a time of uncertainty, a time of the unknown, not just for our school district, but for our whole world, in our community and our nation. Our school district, I am the area director for CSEA. I serve over 88 chapters throughout Area C. And our district, from what I'm hearing, has gone above and beyond and has collaborated and has come together as one united front going forward to do what we need to do for our students and our community. I am so honored to work for this district. Our classified employees not only have stepped up to the plate, but we've also worked together with our teachers and our management. And that's a huge plus because it's not happening in other districts. Our school has come together. We have united. And that's the positive thing I want to talk about tonight. There's so much hate and division in this world that it took a crisis for our district to come together like this. We have done such amazing work. And I want to ask our community tonight to remember that. We value your students, your children. We take pride in what we do. And we've worked diligently over the summer for the last 3 months to make sure that when school started day one, that we were ready and prepared. And I have to say that there were a few hiccups along the road, but we made it. We made it with just a few hiccups along the road. And if anyone has been forgotten or left behind, please let us know, because I've been taking phone calls of those parents and we're making sure that our students are getting online. And it's been such a fantastic opportunity to be able to speak to those parents and to make sure those students feel confident. I'm surely surprised that how little of the phone calls that we have received this past week. If I can do anything of service for my classified employees in district, let me know. But I have to say, I'm very honored to work for you guys, to be a part of this great school district. I have to say that the ratio of we to I's is the best indicator of the development of a team. We have a huge W in our district, and that's the we. And we have little I's because I see the work that we do collaboratively. We have signed 2 MOUs in the last 4 months. And thank you, Jonathan, and the HR department for working collaboratively with CSEA, because we have ensured that our members will be protected. We have ensured that our members are going to be able to do the work that they need to do and that they're covered by a contract. But I have faith in our team. I have faith in our district that we always do the right thing for our members. And I just want to thank you, Jonathan, for that. That's all I have to say today, folks, but it's a great opportunity to work for you all.
Thank you. It's a great opportunity to work with you.
Thank you.
And I would like to introduce now our MTA president, Diana Orlando.
Okay, first, I don't want to go after Michelle next time, Cheryl. I want to go first. How am I going to top that? Other than to say, Michelle, I'm right there with you, my friend. We are in this together. We have all joined forces to do what's right for our kids and for each other. And I couldn't, as you said, I couldn't be more proud to work for this district. Our home away from home. And you know, girl, we go back years and years. We're here together and we're going to beat this and we're going to come out on the top, and our kids are also going to come out on the top. And that's the most important thing. Good evening, board members, Cheryl Jordan, superintendent, and executive cabinet members. First, I would like to say thank you for trusting us and believing in us to do the job that we are here to do, which is to educate and love our students. This is by far the hardest year of my 34-year career. I am so proud of all our teachers and staff, now I'm going to be like Michelle, who have stepped up and are working literally hours upon hours and working our butts off to make sure that we are meeting the needs of every student out there. We will get through this year because we are doing it together and we are MUSD strong. I would also like to thank the student nutrition department, as Michelle did. Excellent job. None of our students were hungry, and that's what's most important, because nobody can learn when your stomach is growling. The other reason I'm here tonight is to ask the board to consider passing the resolution that I have shared with you all. It is about Prop 13. Prop 13, also known as California School and Local Communities Funding Act of 2020, reclaims $12 billion in property tax revenue every year to ensure that our schools and communities have the resources to educate all of our kids and the services to support all of our families. Prop 15 does not affect property taxes for homeowners or renters because the initiative exempts all residential property. Academic researchers at the University of Southern California have identified that the vast majority of the reclaimed revenue will come from just a fraction of large properties. The measure invests up to $4 billion annually for K-14 schools to ensure that our kids receive the world-class education they deserve. Passage of Prop 15 would result in an increase in revenue of approximately $6 million a year for Milpitas Unified School District. Prop 15, California Schools and Local Communities Funding Act of 2020, guarantees funding to all school districts over and above Proposition 98 funding and following the local control funding formula to all students in need in all districts. The measure also exempts all small business owners whose property is worth less than $3 million. Now, more than ever, in light of the national and state economic crisis precipitated by the COVID-19 global pandemic, California's schools and community colleges require additional revenues for the continued revision of education and services to the children, youth, and families of California. I urge you, as the Board of Milpitas Unified School District, to pass the resolution. Thank you, and thank you for being who you are and supporting us and standing behind all of our staff, teachers, classified, management.
Thank you, Diana. And now I would like to ask each of our cabinet members to provide their report. And sitting in for Assistant Superintendent of Learning and Development, Norma Rodriguez, is Director of Tech Services, Chen Song.
Good evening, everyone. Would you like for me to present?
Yep.
Okay. Thank you for having me here, and also thank you for those joining us virtually. I know you've been, like it's been tough several days as a parent myself, having a first grader and a fourth grader on the distance learning side, and trying to balance that with keeping the district technology afloat has been a little bit of a challenge, but I think we're managing okay. Despite that, one of the things that we wanted to update you on was on the C2C, colleague to colleague professional learning. So let me go ahead and share my screen with you. All right, so colleague to colleague is where we have effectively have internal folks build internal capacity. And one of the questions we ask is, how do we effectively learn together and provide the needed support during the rapid switch to virtual learning? And so we started creating a website, getting people together, and then started the virtual colleague to colleague. And we had the physical colleague to colleague, and that was fairly successful. And we'd imagine virtual C2C to be even more successful. And how we were able to scale that is by using some professional tools like Sketch, which they use in professional conferences to bring together just tons of different speakers, timetables together, and then people can sign up for different events. And so to share with you some of the timeline, is that first we started with a pilot. We piloted virtual C2C model in spring of 2020 to help train folks. And then we moved that to a summer C2C by having the success of spring C2C leading to having the summer professional learning, which we've held from June 8th to August 5th. And then from August 11th to 12th, prior to opening of school, we used the same model that we used in the summer to structure the August 11th. And then because we had so much demand, we had to go to a 12th district-wide PD day as well. And then the fall C2C is currently in planning phase. And then we have data on what the staff might need, and we're collecting even more data. And then from there, we'll learn and then provide spring C2C. So let me go ahead and explain some of the programs and structures in the C2C. So you have ongoing C2C, we'll have individual, and then also we'll have small groups and large groups. And then we'll continue to draw upon the expertise of our own staff and also supplement those available by outside sources. And then combination of scheduled PD and flexible PD, which I'll explain on the next slide. So what does that look like is you'll have C2C events on Wednesday time slots, the tentative and proposed during school hours, and also voluntary after school sessions. And then from there, there'll be some flexible PD, requested PD, and support by sites or departments. And then calendar appointments for sign up for help on. So for example, it might be on a topic, application, or problem-based small group session. So ideally 2 to 8 people can sign up for training, or they can also sign up for individual help as well. And then lastly, our help desk tickets, and then where we take our requests and then also help folks individually for specific issues that they may experience. And then some of the categories and topics offered during the summer, which we'll continue to offer throughout the year, for example, would be best practices and strategies for virtual and hybrid learning with online teaching tools and resources. Many of the topics revolved around STEAM, and then literacy and supporting English learners, and cultural responsive teaching and learning, and supporting special education and behavior relationships and managing conflicts. And so we drew some data to see how effective these sessions were. And so this is the summer C2C data that we're able to pull, and sessions presented on 16 dates between June 8th and August 5th. So there were 37 sessions with 37 presenters, and this was a representation from everyone from across the district and from various areas of expertise, and 274 individual attendees, representing, once again, everyone in our staff. And attendees registered for a total of 885 seats. And our August 11th and 12th PD day, so that was the most recent one. And so we were able to pull some data from there as well. So we had 18 synchronous sessions and then 7 asynchronous sessions. So these are recorded trainings. And then attendees registered for 1,144 seats. And like I mentioned before, there was some overflow from 11th to the 12th. And then we took some evaluations and feedback, and 90% of it was positive. So there's some room for improvement. And let me give you some of the quotes where a big aha was to make the writer's workshop my own, right? And learned about group breakout rooms for the first time. And then how to use this tool, whatever sessions that they were in, to engage students during class. And so much student engagement and assessments are possible. And pairs can also help by organizing and analyzing the responses in Google Form. So, and also through this initiative, one of the big shout outs I'd like to give is Karen Muska, our Tech TOSA, who really played a key role in bringing all this together. And so looking forward, we're looking forward to providing ongoing experiences throughout this semester and next, and then especially for fall C2C and spring C2C, which will be held in multiple days. Cheryl, you're on mute.
Cheryl, you're on mute.
Hey, when
Just
that
says some
happens.
amazing things.
I would also like to introduce directors Greg Barnes and Raquel Kusunoki. They're going to give us a very brief update on the procedures for the learning continuity and attendance plan, specifically talking about the tiered re-engagement plan and also documenting student engagement on a weekly basis. So Raquel and Greg.
So we do have this new law that came into effect on June 2020, and it's called the SB 98. And under that law, there are new requirements that's been laid out for public schools. And one of the requirements is how we take attendance for funding. Within that requirement, how we take attendance this year, 2020 through 2021, is nothing like we've done in the past. So our attendance taken this year will require a combination of collecting data to show student participation, student engagement, as well as attendance on a daily basis. And I'm going to pass it over to Greg, who's going to talk about what the efforts have been towards implementing it in our district.
Yeah, thanks, Raquel. So specifically, what does tracking daily participation look like? It is detailing students who are participating in synchronous time, asynchronous time, completion of assignments, completion of assessments, and whether or not we are obviously contacting our students and more importantly, outreaching our parents as well. So there have been some templates that have been provided by the state. They are good intended, but cumbersome to say the least. And we're trying to be very mindful in our efforts to make sure that we can synthesize the requirements in these templates, but do so in a way that's as teacher friendly as possible. So one of the things we're working on is a rubric. I've asked for some guidance from not only the county, but the California Department of Education as well. Because again, our teachers are coming into this space, as Diana shared earlier, carrying a lot on their shoulders. And it's important that we meet our state mandate. But again, our lens and our focus is to do it in a way that is very teacher friendly.
Thank you. And when we have our learning continuity and attendance plan, we'll see you all back for a more in-depth report. Now I'd like to invite Assistant Superintendent of Human Resources, Jonathan Brunson, to give your update on the opening of school.
Good evening. Can you hear me okay, President Leanne and Jordan?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, good.
A little soft, but you're okay.
So we had an amazing start, I think, to the beginning of the school year. It began, last spring and trying to recruit the very best people to join our wonderful team here in Milpitas. And so in doing so, we were able to ensure that each of our students are placed in a classroom with our class size ratios of 24:1, which we have to monitor very carefully on a daily basis. And our amazing principals at each site and their site secretaries were updating everything that they could so that Damon James, our director of HR, and I could support them. And we had to bridge some of our students to other schools across our district so that we could keep those ratios. And we'll be doing our last switch of students this Friday, which will keep us district-wide 24:1 TK3, and we're very proud of that. And another thing to think about with that is that our enrollment has increased a little bit, and I think it's because of the great work that from our trustees, our cabinet, all of our directors, and our parent volunteers, our classified staff, certificated staff. I think the word got out, like Michelle and Diana said, through other organizations, that Milpitas has become a place that people look forward to and to get support from and ideas. So I want to thank all of our leaders, which is everybody listening tonight. You made this happen for us. And that in moving our students, we want to make sure their social emotional needs are taken care of. So we want to move quickly with them to support them and ensure that they have a safe place to get their education. I want to thank Diana and your team, Clarissa, and the CTA rep, Michael Hickey, for their outstanding work and helping us draft and put together a signed MOU that would support our return to work for distance learning per our state and county guidelines that have been put in front of us. So with our great working relationship, and in just a few short weeks, we were able to put together a very strong MOU that it just allowed our teachers and our district to be really second to none. What I'm really proud of, and you've heard me say proud a lot tonight because there is a lot of pride in this district, is that we put together that there'll be minimum minutes of live instruction with our students on a daily basis. And that's something that we felt strongly with as a team, a united front. And so I'm really grateful for that. And I just can't thank you all enough. So Diana, thank you, Carissa, and your whole organization for working so collaboratively with us as a district. Damon, James, and I representing the district through the direction of our cabinet and our trustees. And Michelle, we've been working very closely lately, and it's been really great. We already have the MOUs ready to go. We just got to get them ratified by the Association of CSCA. And once we do, our whole purpose is trying not to lay off any of our employees to ensure that they have work and good work here to do in our district. And we're excited to say that we're very close to having that done. So maybe by the end of the week. And Michelle, a special shout out to you and Suzette Bromagen, Abner Ames, and Lori Louie, Damon, our director of HR, James, and Heather Forsyth-Cano. Thank you for your hard work as we put together a draft that we can all be proud of and supporting. And just a little demographic or stats for you, Superintendent Jordan. We were able to retain and hire over 54 certificated people this last spring and summer, 26 for our elementary schools, 7 for our middle school, 9 for our high school, 9 for our district office, and 1 for Cal Hills and 2 preschools. And that's including our psychs and speech and language therapists, our counselors. We have 2 new elementary counselors, soon to have a 3rd. And I'm really excited about the work that's been done for everybody and getting those people on board. And then finally, just remind and we also had a new admin that joined the team too in different positions. So we know about Deanna Satan over at Weller and Stephanie Park at Kurtner, and Rebecca Cole, another coordinator in our mental health services division, Stacy Lillard, who you met tonight, and also Mary Jude Dora Pingus, and then Lilia Cortez and Amy Sanadad, who's going to help support us at 2 elementary schools. And then finally, just a moment to recognize that we have many employees that are affected by the fires and the smoke that's all around us. So we'll keep them in our thoughts and prayers. And please go to our district website where you can find the support services that we have for you under Care Solis and Optum Health. And all you have to do is just go to the website front page, and it's under additional mental health care resources, and we're here for you. So we're thinking about you. Thank you for all you do. Thank you, President Hanlian, for your leadership, and Vice President Chris Norwood, and our superintendent. It starts with you. Thank you for everything, for a terrific start to the school year. And if it, we're here for our students, and our students are what give us the opportunity to serve. So thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Jonathan. And just to make sure everybody caught that, the Care Solace is available for students as well as team members. And now I would like to invite our Assistant Superintendent of Business Services, Wendy Zhang.
Okay, thank you, Cheryl. I have 4 reports for tonight. First of all, I would like to publicly acknowledge and thank for the hard work of our warehouse team, Guada, Dave, and Jeremy. They worked along with our student nutrition director, Sandy, and on the August 16th, that Sunday, we had a power outage, and this has been the longest power outage that hit in our central kitchen in the history. Sandy shared with me that total probably 53 hours of no power. But because of the hard work and the dedication from our warehouse team, on Sunday afternoon, 4 o'clock, the warehouse team and Sandy, along with their MOT partner, Director Brian Shreve, and the MOT supervisor, Mike Fisher, they were here. They were strategically work out a plan to relocate some of the food in our freezers. So because of their dedication and hard work, we were able to minimize the food loss during this power outage. So I really thank for their hard work and dedication. Secondly, I like to share that along with everybody shared that tonight, and from our rating agency in mid-June, because we have to do our bond refunding and issuing trans for the cash borrowing, we have to have an interview with our rating agency for our credit rating. And the result came back was really positive. We were able to maintain at a WA1. So this was a confirmation of all the good work that everyone did in our district, from the top to all the levels. So I think we all deserve a big round of applause for everyone. And because of all the good work, and we were able to maintain our AA1 rating. And my third report is also related to this. Because of this good rating, we were able to save our taxpayers by almost 1% when we refinanced our GEO bond of 46 million. And now we were completely closed the refunding process. And the 6.5 million savings would directly benefit our residents in the city of Milpitas. So also congratulations to the city of Milpitas residents. You will see some savings from your property tax bill on the bond payment. Lastly, I have the report from our accounting department. We're wrapping up the year-end closing of 1920, and the result looks really good, and we were able to meet our expectations. And our goal is to maximize the savings in the 1920 year, so that we can have a reasonable carryover to help this year's operation. And we were able to meet our goal. And I will share more detailed information with the board at the next board meeting. So that concludes my report for tonight.
Thank you, Wendy. And now I'd like to invite our Milpitas High School principal, Francis Rojas, to give an update on opening of school.
Well, good evening, Superintendent Jordan and all of our board trustees. I'll go ahead and share my screen. Let's see right here. I think I can. Okay, so let me move some things around because I can't see what I'm going to read. So I'm very excited to be here tonight to give a quick update about the opening of school, highlights, challenges, things that are in progress from Milpitas High School. As I begin my 4th year as a principal of Silicon Valley's largest high school, proudly in Milpitas Unified School District, time flies. We are continuing to strive for equity for all students through engagement. And again, that's engagement not only in the classroom, but also how we engage our community, our parents and families, and each other as colleagues. As everyone has said prior to me, there's a lot of appreciation that needs to be given to all of the hard work that our entire staff and community put together, came together over the summer, volunteer hours. You've heard it over and over again. And each of you board members have been there right by our side, participating as well in leading. And I think as I speak to many of my counterparts and friends from other districts, we in MUSD are way ahead of the game. Being the largest high school in Santa Clara County, we could have expected, there was a potential for larger problems in this endeavor of trying something new. But I want to share that our highlights are, we had a very smooth opening of school. The phones weren't ringing off the hook. There weren't a lot of questions. Students were able to register, find their way to their virtual classes. Our staff members helped each other. Our teachers turned to each other for each other's leadership and guidance to problem solve. Our classified office staff spent hours and hours being leaders and coming up with new innovative ways to make registration work. So at this point, we have 3,216 students enrolled. It's a little higher than we were expecting. We thought it was going to be about status quo from last year, but we are a little higher. There are only 13 no-shows, meaning to this date, only 13 students who have not shown up to any of their classes, and about 30 students with majority absences. And I'll talk about in the challenges area how we will be addressing that. So that's about less than 1% of our student population at MHS who are not engaged in our distance learning this semester. Registration happened August 7th through 12th, simultaneously with our teachers and staff coming on board. We had 3,050 students come through onto campus, by appointment, by schedule, and they all were able to submit their paperwork for registration, take their ID pictures, which would help with our textbook distribution the following week, as well as check out Chromebooks if they hadn't already done so at the beginning of the year. That is, again, another amazing feat where majority of our students showed up to our registration over those 4 days. And I do want to thank our classified staff, our PTSA volunteers, as well as Cheryl Rivera and Jen Hutchison, who spearheaded registration this year. Textbook distribution was completed last week. I'd like to acknowledge Ann Tran, our textbook technician, as well as Amanda Gross for spearheading this event, again, with all of our volunteers. We had students come in by grade level, by appointments based on last name, and they had got a map and did almost a scavenger hunt across the school, picking up textbooks from every department textbook room. And without the parent volunteers and community volunteers, even I believe MOT was out of power a couple of those days. We had our MOT staff get on a bus and drive over to MHS and volunteer giving out books. Again, the culture of we is alive and well, and it just showed. And our students all now have the textbooks they need to be successful this school year. The next highlight is we are fully staffed. It's always great to start a year off fully staffed. I want to thank our Jonathan and Damon and all of our HR staff, as well as all of our assistant principals and our instructional leadership department leaders and classified staff who participated in interviews over the summer. Again, these are volunteer hours. They didn't have to come and help. But that allowed us to start this school year off with 13 new teachers, 3 new classified staff, 1 new counselor, 1 new psychologist. And so we kicked off the year with our new teachers, with our new second year of our new teacher academy, led by assistant principal Jonathan Mock, and our teacher and social science department leader and AVID coordinator, Lisa Gable Ferguson, who will be supporting our new teachers throughout this year on their onboarding to MHS. We also had a lot of summer professional development going on. So despite the pandemic, our teachers were involved in the AVID Summer Institute, which was called Digital XP this year. We had several teachers attend advanced placement professional development. We had our new engineering teachers participate in Project Lead the Way training. We had the C2C that Shin had spoken about earlier. I want to give a big shout out to Lita Meyer, our chemistry teacher, for creating some last minute C2C for the high school around how to use the technology and get everything working. And that really helped with the smooth opening. I also want to share with you that I participated in a lot of continuing professional development through UC Berkeley, my alma mater. I am participating as a Stewart Foundation Fellow in a study around principal sustainability, which is part of a larger study for nationwide to find ways to better sustain principals through the challenges of leading schools. So I'll be continuing that through this next year. More highlights, all but 375 students have checked out Chromebooks. Those 375 have opted to use their own devices. We know that our district Chromebooks have capabilities with certain apps that will require students to have this. So we are thinking of a plan of how to get those remaining 375, those Chromebooks. All of our teachers are up and running with Google Classroom, Zoom, and Google Meetings, Aries links, and gradebooks for regular updates for progress for parents and students to access from home. Over the summer, there was a great collaboration. I think this is our 3rd year doing math acceleration partnership with San Jose City College. Because of some changes in the requirements for the San Jose City College at the San Jose City College level, we creatively called this Math Jam I think we had over 200 students participate in this. This was led by Assistant Principal Amanda Gross, together with many of our math department teachers, who at the end of the summer provided the MDTP test and got students placed into their accelerated classes, taking new courses. Again, we heard about student internships. We had Excel Construction here with us earlier. We had Nick over there at Excel Construction. And we also continued our second year of, I think we had about 25 to 30 students participate in our National Academy Foundation Future Ready Labs partnership with Verizon and Deloitte. And we had those students do virtual internships with Verizon employees and Deloitte employees, and their presentation for their final projects were, I think, 2 weeks ago, and that was hosted by Verizon. And then some highlights: facilities improvement all the time. Milpitas High School is like a small city, so there are always facilities improvements. We had a couple completed. We have new security cameras. Our alarm system has been fixed for part of our campus. We have a new gym scoreboard as part of our modernization. The roof project has been completed, and the paint project is being completed currently. I think we just got the punch list today. So I do want to thank Travis Kirk of TVK Construction Management. I've been in many different facilities and bond projects throughout my administrative career, and he has facilitated these projects very smoothly, and his responsiveness and leadership is very appreciated. So thank you for continuing to have allow us to work with him and his company. And then our bond projects are on track with LPA, and we probably will be getting an update about that at a future board meeting. I think they're in schematic design at this point. So challenges. I know you said 3 minutes, sorry. Challenges, with higher expected enrollment, balancing classes was pretty tough. I do want to thank Assistant Principal Skylar Drager, our master scheduler, as well as all of our counselors for working really hard. Because we provide our students with a lot of opportunities over the summer to accelerate, take college classes, there are a lot of changes that we try to anticipate, but in reality, we don't know what we're gonna get until we actually start in August. So there's been a lot of balancing, and our HR department has also been very supportive with that as well, with additional sections. Some other challenges were, because this isn't business as usual, I put that below, student registration was backlogged for a while, but we've asked our classified staff has come together to support each other, to help out where support was needed. So I do want to thank the leadership of Anna Brown, our registrar, and Assistant Registrar Diana Collier, and our classified staff coming together to make sure that our families were registered faster, or new families, because of a new way of doing it. Everything was virtual. It's a lot easier when the papers are all in front of you. Trying to sort through multiple emails and downloads was quite challenging for our staff. Other challenges, some of our no-shows, those 13 no-shows have been very hard to contact, but fortunately we do have a lot of support from Nicole Stewart, Henry Robinson, as well as Norma Morales, and as well as our office staff and our assistant principals, who are trying to make calls, home visits, to make sure that these students, if they're still there, get what they need to engage with us and connect. Other challenges, as we all know, power outages like today, the smoke fire evacuations, and just general connectivity has been a challenge. But again, we just have to overcome them and stay positive. A challenge we're dealing with right now are Zoom bombers. And so we're working together with tech services as well as possible law enforcement. We are trying to find out what can we do to prevent these Zoom bombers, who are actually not our students, but are finding ways to get into our classes and disrupting learning for our students. Also, the challenge of how do we deal with behavior and discipline issues, which is a topic at our secondary principals meeting tomorrow. So it's not business as usual, Our systems have to be adaptable, and with the leadership from both our certificated and classified staff, as well as our administrators, we are able to adapt and be accepting of change and trying to do our best with new ways. So these challenges are an opportunity for us to innovate, and that's what's great about this time. What are in progress? Again, we're following up with our no-shows and students with majority absences. We are implementing stricter controls on Zoom meetings. Our ASB leadership have done a really good job of trying to build school spirit and culture virtually. They're coming out with a lot of videos. We had a freshman welcome video, welcome back to MHS. Our Family Resource Center is taking shape with its new occupant, Nicole Stewart. Hopefully that becomes the center of schooling services for our district in the J1 building. It'll be a great place for families once we're in person to find resources. We're continuing our work around cultural sustainability with our Ethnic Studies Task Force partnership with Facing History and ourselves. They're also helping us with taking a look at our social science framework to be more inclusive of a global perspective. And our English department, I believe, collectively read over 50 texts, 50 pieces of literature, books, novels over this summer, and are having a discussion on how to include a more global variety and of texts that show different perspectives of life. And again, this is all part of our cultural sustainability efforts. And so that concludes my update. Here are some photos of things that were exciting. We had a wonderful class of 2020 graduation. All of you were there. It feels so long ago. It was different, and our community loved it. So thank you all for your support, for allowing it to happen that way. We got a lot of comments. Could we just have it this way instead? Please remember, this was probably 12 hours over 2 days. I became a couple shades darker after 2 days out in the sun. And then I do want to thank the leadership of Carl Stice and Carissa Scott for the wonderful Cal Hills and summer graduate graduation ceremony over at the San Jose Giants stadium a couple of weeks ago. Wonderful experience for our students and our district, and thank you for supporting there. And that concludes my update.
Thank you, Principal Rojas.
Principal Rojas, did the gym get a new sound system as well?
Oh yeah, actually that was done. Over spring break. Yes, so the gym has a new sound system. So when we're back to gather as a district, sound's going to be awesome in there.
Thank you.
And speaking of that sound system, I have just a brief update in photos, and you'll get to see that sound system.
Thank you, Superintendent Jordan.
First, I want to talk about some of our COVID-19 preparations. And you see some examples here of the signage that we have at all school and work sites, as well as every site at the entry has the hand sanitizer, disinfectant ready to go. We have our social distancing marks located at the schools. Also, you see the sneeze guards in the offices and the one-way directional pathways to help with maintaining social distancing for that time when our students can return for some in-person support. Here are some of the examples of our bond work this summer at Weller and Spangler around safety and security. You'll see that it has to do with paving and also with putting in new drainage systems at Spangler. And at Milpitas High School, here's where you see the new sound system. And perhaps one day we can have a demo of it so we can hear it auditorially. And this is where our new scoreboard is. I had a video that I was trying to upload so you could see what it looks like. Unfortunately, I had technical difficulties. This is Principal Rojas referred to the new roofing over the large gym. This is what it looks like. At Randall, where our world languages school, we have a lot of modernization going on. Nicholas talked about some of the technology construction work that he was supporting on. I imagine it might have had to do with this new multi-purpose room that's being put in. This is an example of the new kindergarten area. And we will have more updates as the time goes on. And I want to assure the public and the board and all of our team members, and especially our learners, that Milpitas Unified School District is on the move. We have a lot happening. I'm super excited about the new look we're going to see once all of this construction and modernization and safety implementation is completed. And I thank you, President Lien, for allowing us this extra time during our executive cabinet report. Because it's the opening of school, I wanted to make sure that we had the opportunity to hear from the major players of leading the whole team. Scott, are there any public comments?
Yes, I got one additional public comment. Let's see. It is from Fritzi Borgia of Polaris Court. And she just commented, is there a common theme for the 10% not so positive feedback from the C2C? How can this be improved?
Great questions. And one thing about our executive cabinet reports is that they're not a full report as we normally do with something agendized where we can have a deep discussion. And I really appreciate that question. And we will delve into what is the 10% not so positive feedback, as well as how we are constantly improving C2C, particularly because we are looking at creating a similar model that we're in the process of for parents called parent-to-parent communication and support. So we will definitely at another time when we are focusing as a separate board report on all the support for the learning for both our team members as well as parents at home, and we'll provide themes and other areas along those lines. So thank you, Ms. Borgia, for that question. And I will get back to you personally with the answer.
Word question to the President Lien.
Yes.
First of all, I want to thank you again for allowing the time for the staff to provide additional information. But what I'm noticing is that there's so much information that they want to share, and they're getting better and better at the sharing of it. When we initially launched the ability for the executive cabinet and district staff to communicate, is that I would like to possibly at some point revisit that 3-minute desire that we have, because I can't remember the last time someone stuck to it. So if we can revisit that 3 minutes to determine what's a good time, amount of time, so that we won't feel like they're rushed and they know that they're going over time or ignoring the policies that we would try to establish.
All right, Superintendent Jordan and Vice President Norwood, you both made me look very bad for thanking me for allowing, this passing the 3 minutes. I think and I believe that it is important because we are now in this difficult time of the reopening of school. And with this pandemic, so many uncertainties, and teachers, students are coping with the difficulties. So I appreciate the presentations from the cabinet, the executive cabinet team. And yes, I will ban that 3 minutes rules anytime.
Thank you. And I would just point out, President Lien, that it's not a remark about you personally, but your role as president is to keep the agenda moving.
Yes, and
Thank
it
you.
is moving, and
Yes.
and I appreciate all the information, and I agree with Vice President Norwood. It's just so much information to pack in 3 minutes, or even 7 minutes, and we can bring the executive team back so that we can hear more in the next meeting or two.
Great.
And if it's okay with everyone, I would like to call for a 5 minutes recess so that board members, the cabinet, and the audience to, go to use the
Oh.
common room, get water.
President Han,
Yes.
but before that, could I ask one quick question?
And that question is for,
Uh, Chen Song,
okay.
about his presentation. Yeah, I wanted to ask about how much time people are spending on Zoom and Meet. Because right now we are trying to measure the effectiveness of these programs. I think we're doing good, but I'd like to hear some context and numbers on that.
Sure, glad to provide that. So the last 9 days, we had over 15 million total minutes that individuals are collectively spending on screen. So what does that work out to? Approximately 1.6 million minutes a day, right? So when you're breaking that down per person, measuring it at around 10,500 folks or so, you're effectively looking at roughly 2.6 hours per day that that a person might be on a screen.
Cool, thank you.
All right, thank you. We will be back in 5 minutes. Are we all back? All right, I'm going to start with our board group agreements. Michael, board member Sai.
Are you asking me to read them?
Yes, please.
Okay. Keep learning and achievement for all students as the primary focus. Ask questions for our own understanding. Be open and honest with each other. No surprises includes unapproved communications with law enforcement, news media, regional elected officials on behalf of the district and/or board. Be aware that our behavior in the community reflects on us as a team. Communicate proactively with each other about topics, questions, and challenges in open session and in advance of public board meetings in compliance with the Brown Act. Participate in professional development and commit the time and energy necessary to be an informed and effective leader. Actively support the culture of we in action, deed, and opportunity to serve the students and parents of the Milpitas Unified School District.
All right, thank you. Board group agreements. I'm sorry, board communications. I'd like to start with Kelly.
Oh, good evening, everyone. Before I give my short report, I would like to give a shout out to all the teachers and support staff for doing a fantastic job with Distance Learning 2.0. I see a huge improvement. And well, I have a ninth grader at Milpitas High and 2 elementary school kids, and they have also shared the same sentiment. Thank you to COVID-19 Advisory Task Force subcommittees for dedicating their time and planning for our school year. Thank you, Sandy Huynh and Nutrition Services for feeding our families. Thank you, CSEA President Michelle Kessinger and MTA President Diana Orlando for your leadership during this unprecedented time. As Michelle have said earlier, our district went above and beyond their duties. We couldn't have done it without each and every one of you. I'm very grateful. We have such an amazing district, and I'm so honored to be a part of it. So now for my short report. I attended the adult education graduation PTA council meeting, various back to school nights, chamber commerce meeting, and the team hall meeting. Thank you, everyone, and welcome back.
All right, Michael.
Again, shout out to all the people who pulled together and worked hard during the summer. Again, it's a challenge for everyone, and I think we are ahead of the curve, relatively speaking, compared to some other districts. And we want to continue to lead the way. So I went to the Santa Clara County School Boards Association calls, Zoom meetings. I had some calls with the Department of Public Health in the county about COVID. Attended various back to school night Zoom meetings, and also went to some special meetings for the Career Technical Education District. And on that note, I like to use the rest of my time to play a video of a student talking about the fire science program at Career Technical Education, which I think is especially relevant now given the horrible fires that are going on. So yeah, Scott, if you could play that.
Hi, I'm Gabriel Ramos. I'm in the Fire Science First Responder AM class. I didn't really know what I wanted to do with my career-wise. Like, I didn't have any kind of path or any kind of knowledge of even this program. Some advisors came to the school and talked to us about this program, and they explained what it was about, and they explained that it was free and that we could just come take a look. And I came in and I saw a first responder class, and I really liked it. I really enjoyed the things that they were talking about with discipline and integrity, and I really wanted to become a part of that. And it's really opened a lot of opportunities for me. I've just in November, I applied for Fire Explorers at San Jose Post 888, and I was accepted. And so not only has this given me a pathway, it's given me options, and it's given me a real tool to use to set myself up for life. And as Mackenzie said, like, we do a lot of community service, Toys for Tots. We just did that last week, and it was a really good time. I really enjoy the community service aspect. It's a lot of fun just being there, helping out, seeing all the families. Those community service, that's what really it's all about, and that's what I really enjoy the most. And the class itself is very well run. It's very clean, very anal about how we do things. Captain Tovar and Mr. Gonzalez are very good instructors, and they make sure that we get things done right. I've really enjoyed everything that they've done for us and everything that this class has really set me up for. And without it, I don't know what I'd be doing. I don't know what I'd be on the track to do. I really appreciate this program. This program has done a lot, not just for me, but a lot of my friends, actually. A lot of my friends that aren't even in the first responder program, they're in other things like auto body repair, and they're in law enforcement. They had no idea what they wanted to do. But these programs like these really give us options and really open our eyes to careers and pathways that we can take to take that next step to life. So thank you all.
Thank you, Scott, and that's my report.
Michael, this is board member Norwood. I didn't recognize that student. Do you know what school district he was from?
Gosh, I want to say Campbell, I think. I'm not sure. I can double check.
Okay. It would be great, 'cause I know that we do invest in Silicon Valley Career Tech. It would be great to hear stories about our students within our community. And you bring up a great point in terms of the fire science. I don't know if you were aware, but Milpitas Unified School District has played a critical role in terms of the firefighting that's going on because of the Spring Valley. Mm-hmm. As you know, that's been a focal point as far as the ability for the fire organizations, CAL FIRE and stuff like that, to fight the fires up in the hills. So their utilization of our facility up there has been significant in that firefighting. And we're also looking at what we can do for Milpitas Unified School Districts at that site as well. So thank you for bringing that to our attention. It only reinforces the fact that we do have a facility, we have the relationship with Spring Fire, and there's definitely much more visibility in terms of that location for us. So thank you for that. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, Chris. That's a great point. And yeah, there's that site up there, and maybe once everything's cleared up, if folks haven't visited it, it's worth a visit to see what's going on up there.
Absolutely.
All right, Vice President Norwood, since you're there, would you please give your report?
Sure. It is, as you know, it has been nonstop for all of us in different capacities and doing a number of different things. So I'll briefly share some of the highlights. Of course, as Michael had mentioned, the MUSD team halls, the weekly state elected officials meetings. I had the opportunity to attend the Silicon Valley Leadership Group Education Conference last week, the Gandhi Mandela Youth Symposium this past Saturday. I had the opportunity to participate with the new principal at Spangler, her principal's chat that happened, several Burnett back to schools. The California School Board Association now has a new regional PACER that is supposed to work closer with us in terms of legislation and things of that nature. So I had a chance to meet with him a couple of days ago and did the introduction for him to the region. The City of Milpitas Emergency Operations Committee, of course, with you, President Lien, Vice Mayor Bob Nunez, and Carmen Montano. I'm also looking forward to the return of the City of Milpitas Economic Development Committee, which is chaired by Councilmember Karina Dominguez. And then this Friday, we also restart the City of Milpitas MUSD Joint Collaborative with Mayor Rich Tran and Carmen Montano. Also attended the San Jose State College of Education conference. I'm on the advisory committee. launched the We Ask to Mask Milpitas initiative and awareness campaign. As we know, not everyone can wear a mask, but for those of us who can, it has been proven that it reduces the spread of COVID-19. And as we want to make sure that the fatality rate in Milpitas is as low as possible, we encourage everyone to wear masks. And then, of course, continuing to do fundraising activities and find resources for the district on behalf of our children, our families, and our staff. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice President Norwood. Min?
I will concede the time. Thank you, President Han.
All right. I would do the same because most of the activities were reported by Kelly and Chris. So moving on to reports. Superintendent Jordan.
We have our first report, which is on approving the quarterly report for Williams Settlement Compliance. Just to report that we have had no complaints. I would like to also add to that the state is looking at modifying this this quarterly report in light of distance learning. So it may change slightly for the next quarter.
Okay.
And next is our Student Nutrition Services report.
Sandy Nguyen.
Good evening, board members, executive cabinet, and community members. Fatima is going to pull up the presentation. And my name is Sandy Nguyen. I'm the Director of Student Nutrition Services. And tonight with me are my two wonderful SNS Operations Supervisors, Fatima Tabid and Sucheta Gihani. They have been playing the key role of coordinating the day-to-day operation throughout the pandemic. And they have always played a key role on the daily communications with the staff and the operation. So tonight we would like to provide you a brief report about our nutrition services during the pandemic. We will share about the adjustments we had to make to overcome the challenges, the success stories of the program, and our department's finances during this time. But before I move on, I would like to point out that this school lunch superhero here truly represents the energy and the strong will of all of our nutrition and warehouse staff during this unprecedented time in our life. Next slide, please.
Hi, everyone. Good evening, everyone. This is Sucheta Gihani, the Student Nutrition Supervisor for Secondary School Sites. As you all know, in March, with the shelter in place, the Student Nutrition Department had to quickly adapt and constantly readjust our operation in order to keep our staff safe while continuing to serve families and students. We implemented all the safety and sanitation protocols and established a rotating staff schedule. We're proud to say that there was no disruption in meal service, despite a loss of 40% of labor hours due to childcare issues and self-quarantine requirements at that time. Furthermore, we quickly set up and fill positions to seamlessly serve throughout the summer months while strategizing to reopen the new school year. Despite all the challenges, we were able to serve 479,299 meals to kids and youth in our community. Every meal served to children under the age of 18 was reimbursed by the Federal Meals Program. Through our partnerships with the county, city, and nonprofit organizations, we were also able to serve 27,916 free adult meals in our community. Next slide, please. At each site during the meal distribution day, we carefully determined the minimum coverage needed for the operation to enforce the social distancing guideline. With the help of 6 student nutrition staff and 3 volunteers, at each of the sites, They were able to serve over 4,000 meals with just 37.5 labor hours. With the switch to distance learning, we reevaluated our budget in April for the rest of the school year. Based on the expected loss of income from catering, a la carte sales, after-school snacks, and supper meals, we had estimated a $600,000 deficit for the 2019-2020 school year. However, our team continued to work hard and persevered through all the challenges. We took advantage of every opportunity, including community partnerships, applying for grants of all sizes, and doing family outreach. We started to see an increased meal participation and high demand for our service. Instead of a deficit, we closed the school year strong with a $115,000 surplus. Next slide, please.
During the past few months, there were many uncertainties and endless changes, but we stayed very grounded by two obligations: service to our students and financial responsibilities. How do we continue to provide equitable and accessible service to our students and continue to be financially sound? So very early on, we took advantage of every available opportunities out there through relief funds, grants, and partnerships. We applied for a total value of $462,000, in which we were granted in the form of food that we could use in our school meals, monetary funds or reimbursements, or equipment that help us increase our capacity to meet the increasing demand of the community. So here you can see the list of organizations that we applied to. We applied to Santa Clara. We worked with Second Harvest Food Bank. We also applied various local grants, such as the Alpersons grant. Next slide, please. So one of the reasons why our program was seamless and successful is because we quickly signed on to the waivers and exercised the flexibilities allowed by California Department of Education in our meals program. Here you can see the difference in waivers between last school year and this new school year. These changes in waivers have significant impact to our meal participation. So while we were allowed to provide free meals to all youth 7 days a week the past summer, the current waivers for the new school year only allow us to serve enrolled students by eligibility on school days only. So this means we can no longer serve meals for the weekends and on holidays. And like many neighboring and California school districts, our programs are currently experiencing extremely low meal participation since the new school year started. This is not sustainable and will pose a financial threat to all child nutrition programs. There are many advocacies nationwide for USDA to continue to allow free meals for all students throughout school year 2020 to 2021. The two new bills introduced are the Pandemic Child Hunger Prevention Act and the Child Nutrition Relief Act of 2020, which are now waiting for a congressional action. It's a battle and we will continue to fight for it. Next slide, please.
Hi everyone, I'm Fatima Tabi. These photos taken over the last 5 months show the spirit and the resilience of our staff and volunteers. They showed up to work ready to commit and to give and serve. They said, just let me know where you need me to be. Picture 1 and 2 are photos from Pomeroy and Boardroom Distribution. Distribution days are very busy for us. Line forms before service begins. Our SNS staff work tirelessly and efficiently to serve all meals in line. The success of our program is owed to the site staff, central kitchen, and warehouse. Picture 3 is a photo of Clifton, our intern this summer. SNS believes in investing in our students and further developing their skill set. We provide them a real-life working environment to explore our profession. For the past 3 years, we've accepted a number of student interns from various programs. Santa Clara's intern program, Milpitas Youth Force program, as well as college and dietetic program. Picture 4 is a picture of our adult meals. The main focus of our program is usually meals for children. but through partnership with the county, nonprofits, and charitable organizations this summer, we are able to provide meals to the parents and grandparents of those children during meal pickup. Picture 5 is a picture of Vera and her parents. She is a great example of the community support we received. I wanted to also thank Vera from SNS's behalf for single-handedly sewing 300 beautiful masks for the students of Milpitas, and we distributed them at 2 of our distribution sites. Picture 6 is at Spangler Distribution, and it represents all hands on deck. Our meal program was supported by wonderful classified staff, paras, custodial, and MOC staff. Picture 7 is our warehouse staff. They are the backbone of our department. Besides managing and receiving a delivery of pallets of food and supplies, the drivers work diligently to get PPE and classroom supplies to all of MUSD. In the last 6 months, we successfully passed the CDE audit, and our staff have kept up and renewed required certification. SNS has fought through all obstacles presented by the pandemic: power outage, vendor bankruptcy, and now the Lightning Complex fire. While we foresee a very tough year ahead, we are very confident that through our smart decision and quick actions, we will pull through this year with nothing less than our best efforts. We want to thank the board members and executive cabinet for your trust and unconditional support throughout this difficult time. We also want to thank our long-term partners, Second Harvest and Touch a Soul, for standing alongside us throughout the years to support our meal program. Thank you.
And that concludes our report tonight.
Thank you very much, nutrition team. Superintendent.
Again, I would like to greatly appreciate the time and effort that Sandy and her team went through. And I see that many of her team members are still on the line with us, and I appreciate you being here with us tonight. Next, we have our 45-day revise on the budget with Assistant Superintendent Wendy Zhang.
Okay, thank you, Cheryl. And let me unmute. And let me see if I can share my screen so it's easier. I can go over the report. Okay, so we are required to provide a 45 days budget update after the state adopt its budget, and if there are major budget changes comparing to our adoption. So that's why we're doing this budget update, because this year, I mean, 2020 is just such a unique year. Back then, when we are doing our budget adoption, I presented 3 options, and we recommended option 2. The option 2 basically are the factors that I'll go over here with you. And those are the changes compared to that adoption to the state budget that signed into law. First of all, we start here is the ADA. We'll have to make some adjustment of our ADA, average daily attendance. Back then, we projected our enrollment increase because our district is one of the few districts in the state of California that's still growing. And the current budget law says the funding level will be capped at the 1920. So that's why even though we have a enrollment growth and we're not going to get funded. However, there is a new bill introduced recently, and hopefully the legislature will approve this revised bill. And this bill will allow the school district to capture some of the growth. So if that happens, and hopefully we can retain this ADA adjustment. But at this point, we'll have to take it off. And a similar thing, we look at the out year projections just to be conservative, even though we're growing. We're projecting out years growth. And at this point, we still we reduced our ADA projection for now. COLA, cost of living adjustment. And back then, the option we adopted was to have a COLA and together with the deficit factor. Basically, we're saying, okay, the state is going to provide us a cost of living adjustment, but in the meantime, and take about 7.9% deficit away. So that's how we adopted our budget back in June. Now with this signed state budget, the COLA will be zero. So there will be no COLA for the current year and also the out years. But they're also taking away the deficit factor, which is a good relief financially for us. With that changes, you will see for the in current year, we're going to gain almost $7 million in LCFF. And the next year will be additional 5 million. And then the year after is about 1.5 million. So because of these changes and the impact financially to us is listed here. And then on top of that, we also received some good news and some help from the federal government and the CARES Act. A lot of you probably heard about it. And we have already included 640,000 in our adoption and as a part of the CARES Act when we did our adoption back in June. And this 5.5 million is on top of that. And each district depends on the demographic and also the enrollment, and the dollar amount received from the feds are different. And some district I heard they got almost $15 million. And for us, I mean, we got 5.5 million. It's not a lot in my opinion, but it's better than nothing. So, and we will include this in our budget. And of course, because we're doing distance learning, we have a need to purchase technology equipment. We also have other needs. So in the meantime, we also needed to budget the expenditure of 5.5 million. I'm not saying we're going to spend the 5.5 million in this year, and the unspent balance will be carried over to the next year. The longest time, because there are 3 pockets under this 5.5 million, and each funding has a different timeline. By certain time, the district has to spend it. For example, the largest portion in here under this 5.5 million was called Coronavirus Relief Fund, CRF. That money right now, based on the requirement, we need to spend it before December. And the legislators are currently review the timeline. Hopefully they can extend this spending to either to the end of the school year or maybe to prolong to the next fiscal year. So that's why for now we're budget everything under current year. So with all of this budget changes, this will really help us to give us a balanced budget by the end of 22-23. If you recall back then when we adopted our budget under option 2, we have a shortage in our 3rd year, the year of 2022 and 23. We're short by almost 14 million. And because all of these changes, now it's good. It helps us at least to have a balanced budget by that year. Let me show you our multi-year projection. Can you guys see this spreadsheet?
No.
No, you can. So let me stop sharing. Okay. Okay, can you see this is our typical multi-year projection worksheet. Can you guys see it Yep. Yeah, okay, good. Let me. Okay, so I wanted to point out a couple highlights just to bring to your attention. Even though with this the budget changes, it helped us to balance the budget. But I mean, that still, we still have some challenges that we needed to consider and to work on. For example, first of all, look at the current year. This is now 2021 year. Look at this line here. This means the deficit spending. After the relief from the deficit factor in the LCFF funding, our LCFF revenue now is projected at 94.9 million. It was almost $7 million more than we adopted back in June. But still, even with this increase, we're still deficit spending at 8.5 million. That's still something we need to work on. We shouldn't have this deficit gap becomes larger and larger. Look at the year after. The year one, we're projected to increase at 12.1 million. Why? Because if you look at it, our LCFF revenue does not go up much, but our expenditure, the staffing, the contractual obligations was step column increase. That every year automatically it will go up. Statutory benefit rate, the STRS and the PERS, the pension cost, retirement rate goes up. Health and welfare, so on and so forth. So that push this deficit gap to grow bigger and bigger. You see the third year, we're at 14 million. And this is still something we have to work on to reduce this deficit gap. And here is our strategic fund. The reason we were able to have a balanced budget by the end of 22-23 year is because fortunately we have some savings. And in this started in 2021 year, we have total almost 15 million fund balance here for us to use. Those are the reserves. And you can see in the next 2 years, we're fully spent out our reserves. We have no money left here. And this is a summary of our building fund. We're also going to have used our building fund balance to help the operation. And then we have a little bit of balance left by the end of 22-23 years. This post-retirement benefit fund, basically, we're going to start to use it in this year. And then we plan to use it up by the end of 22-23. So what does this mean to us? Even though we have a balanced budget, but we will have to deplete all our available reserves. If the current economic projection does not give us additional funding, this is what we're going to have to face. So even though now we show we have a balanced budget by the end of 22-23, but our budget does not stop in that year. And very soon we'll have to develop the following year budget. And then based on the current projection, if we don't do anything strategically and financially, and then we'll be short again based on the current projection. And again, our parcel tax will expire on June 30th, 2023. And so we keep that in mind. We'll need to do something with our parcel tax. And one thing I also wanted to share, and for this year, the 1920, that's the year we're currently working on, where we will officially close out by the end of August. We'll share the actuals with the board at the next board meeting. So right now, our goal is we try to save as much as we could in our general fund from 1920, so we can have a reasonable fund balance to help out the current year operation. So that in current year, hopefully we don't need to use additional 4 million from our reserve to balance the budget. If we can defer these savings to the out years, that will help our bottom line a little bit. So I'm going to pause here for questions, and this is our 45-day budget update.
Yes.
Yes, thank you, President Han, and thank you for the presentation, Wendy, in regards to the budget here. And thank you for all the work that you and your team do to really keep the operation of our school district going. Now, for the benefit of our listening audience, could you expand a little bit more of the LCFF sources, and specifically talking about the parcel tax, our state income revenue, et cetera? What feeds into that, just so that our audience has a better understanding of that?
Okay, sure. Thank you for the question. So our total LCFF revenue is almost 95 million, and the 95 million majority, about 75% of that dollar amount is funded by local property tax, and the state aid will backfill the difference. So that's pretty much the major two income sources that we receive for our district funding.
Thank you. And so you mentioned that the state has suspended the cost of living adjustment for the next several years, and part of the reason you mentioned the fact that our LCFF is stagnant for the next several years really hurts our district going forward. And so from Avenue and multiple presenters previously have mentioned various legislative bills on the table to really help education, and specifically, our district. Is there a way, maybe not for you, but maybe Superintendent Jordan, a way to list all those legislative bills that are currently out there that were mentioned, so that we can get it out to our community? Because student nutrition services, they provided hope in the early months of this pandemic. That's a service that's critical going forward. It's mentioned a couple of times by several folks. So that way our community, our registered residents and voters out there can go and contact their specific legislator to really advocate and be this part of our culture of we, so that we can work together to find the solution.
Okay, well, that's a suggestion, and as Sandy shared in her presentation, right now the student nutrition program face a challenge because of the waiver from the federal government. From the summer, from the shelter in place all the way till the summer, because we have the waiver, it allowed us to serve more meals and to cover more participations. But now that waiver expired, and without a waiver, we have to follow the current guidance. The current guidance is based on eligibility, and also limited on school days. So we urge the legislator and also the community members maybe reach out to the legislators to advocate for the program, which many organizations out there like CASPO, AXA, I'm sure they're probably all actively acting on this on our behalf to advocate that. And then for the budget, there is a bill, Senate bill, I think either 82 or 820, and it was introduced. So it's sitting on the floor for a public hearing. And so that if that passed, hopefully that will give us some additional funding for our growth.
Thank you.
Thank you, Wendy. When you said that you the CARES Act fund, you have to use it by a deadline, sometime in December. What happens when you don't spend the money by that deadline?
Well, the normal rule was if you don't spend the federal money, you are supposed to return it back. But for us, we never have a problem not to spend the money. We will always find out a way to spend the money. But we don't want to just for the sake to spend the money to spend it. We wanted to spend it strategically. And we're pretty confident that the some of these deadlines will be extended because they're not quite reasonable. One of the program, they're asking us to spend it from March all the way till September. And, you know, September is coming and we didn't even receive the funding yet. And so most likely the deadline will expand it. And so we're expecting that. And the worst case, don't worry, we will spend the money because we do have the need. We needed to purchase technology. As long as we don't have to we don't have to actually spend $1. We can show that we have a commitment of purchase by that day.
And do they have any restrictions on what you can spend on?
Yes, definitely. We have a 3 pot of money funding, and each pot, they have their particular purpose associated with that funding. And but most of, in general, they're associated with the COVID-19 distance learning to support the distance learning and student engagement, and also student nutrition program, and as well as special needs student.
Okay. Thank you. Yes, asking the question will also reiterate or remind you of the deadlines and what you can use it for so that we don't have to return the money.
Yeah, I guarantee you we never return the money. And even other federal grants we have received in the past, all my years with the district, we will always be able to spend all the money.
All right. Thank you.
President Lien?
Yes.
I'd like to go back to Trustee No's question about putting out legislation that's coming forward for the public so that they know what legislation is there. And I'd like to also invite board members to provide some of that support to the community members when you're talking with them and wherever you see them in the grocery stores or maybe on a socially distanced walk. If you, or on your Facebooks, if you would please share the legislation as well, because one of your big responsibilities is about policy and the other, of course, is fiduciary responsibility. So policies that the state puts forward or bills that the state puts forward that have to do with those two pieces, budget and policy, are types of items that board members can support.
Yes. Thank you. Any other question for Ms. Yang?
Yes. Thank you for the presentation, Wendy. You know, I understand you've been working hard on this and trying to keep a close eye on it, planning ahead. So I thank you for that. I've been saying this for a while now that we need to prepare for the storm, but the storm is here. So I think really our goal should be to weather this for a long duration of time. I don't see this as a sprint, it's a marathon of endurance because we don't know when a vaccine is going to become available. So I'm anticipating depressed economic conditions for the time to come, maybe like 2 or even 3 years. If you look at past pandemics, the economy took years to recover. So I think we need to hunker down. If you have any other ideas for how we can try and preserve our financial health for the coming years, those would be great, and I'd be in support of that. I think we need to try and get every bit of financial efficiency we can because there are going to be lean times ahead.
Yes, definitely. I appreciate your support. Thank you. Yes.
All right. Min?
Yeah, I just want to respond to Superintendent Jordan, and I just want to say you do have my commitment as a board member to really advocate for what we need to do for our schools.
Thank you.
Thank you, Min. Okay. Moving on to item 17, action items. Superintendent Jordan. No.
Yeah.
No, that's Wendy.
Yeah,
Sorry.
that's my item also. And let me open. And this interfund transfer is a routine item. Every year, we'll bring in this resolution to ask the board to approve. And this year, there is a new requirement. First of all, we have to open a public hearing before we can adopt this resolution. This is a new add-on requirement this year.
Okay. Is there a
Motion
motion?
to open the public hearing.
The second?
I second.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, public hearing's open. I would request to have a couple of minutes for the public to send in their comments to Scott.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, so 2 minutes, because we're gonna start a timer.
Yes.
Okay.
May I ask a question while we wait for the public?
Yes.
So, Wendy, obviously this past year, the state allowed extension into July for folks to file the, tax returns. And so does that have a significant impact on this as well, too?
Well, right now, based on the revenue collection published by the Department of Finance, it didn't seem has the state revenue dropped a little bit, but it meets the Department of Finance projections. So for the current year, for 2021, so it was not as bad as we thought could be. But for the out years, it's very hard to predict right now. And this part of interfund borrowing, and because we're talking about it, basically it's cash, it's not revenue. On paper we're going to have 95 million no matter what, but the time to receive this 95 million, now the state, because of the state budget new law, they're going to defer the cash from February 2021, February, March, April, May, and June, all the way to the next year. So basically from February all the way till June, we're not going to receive any cash from the state. And so we'll have to rely on our own reserves. That's why it is important for the district to have a healthy reserve. Healthy reserve means we have a cash balance on hand. And so then we can we can borrow in between funds. And one thing I wanted to make sure the board is fully aware of, that we cannot use our bond money.
Okay. Scott, do we have any comments?
President Leon, we have no public comments at this time.
Okay, then is there a motion to close the public hearing?
Motion to close the
Motion
public.
to close the public.
Kelly said
I second.
Kelly said it. I second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, public hearings closed. So now I do need a motion to adopt the resolution 2021.5 or open for discussion.
Motion to adopt.
Second?
I'll second.
I second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, seeing none, the resolution's adopted. Thank you, Wendy.
Okay, well, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, moving on to consent items. Consent items are considered routine and will be acted upon by the board in one motion. There is no discussion on these items prior to the motion. unless members of the board, staff, or public request that specific items will be tabled or removed for discussion or correction. Are there any items to be pulled?
Motion to adopt the consent agenda. As is.
Thank you, Min, for the clarification. Any second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, consent items are adopted. Pass. Date for future board meetings. We have September 8th. Study session at 5, closed session at 6, open session at 7. I believe it will be on Zoom. Then we have September 22nd, October 6th, October 20th, all with study session at 5, closed session at 6, open session at 7. Are there any announcements or reminders?
We have Cal Hill's back to school night tomorrow.
We have community-based organization meeting
September
on September
9.
9. And we have the MIPTA community conversation. I'm not quite, I don't remember what the date is on that.
September 1st at 6.
September 1st at 6.
Superintendent, would you send an email to all of us as a reminder?
Yep, we'll do that.
Thank you.
And we need to make sure that we get the word out about the community-based organization event so that they can all attend. If Superintendent Jordan, if you'd like to share a little bit about that with the community, I think that would be important.
Yes. So I haven't yet spoken with the principals about it, but looking at our principals as well as some of our leaders who oversee things such as student liaisons and our students who are following the McKinney-Vento category. What we are going to do is invite community-based organizations such as ACI, the Asian Americans for Community Involvement, and share with them the highlights of what we as a school district have done to respond to COVID, and also share the needs that have emerged as a result of COVID. And then in sort of a speed dating format, our principals and other program managers will share with the CBOs what their needs are, and hopefully that way come up with some matches and then make a commitment to follow through on those matches at the end of the evening. And it's 90 minutes. So it is not a lot of time, and we do hope to have all of our community-based organizations and service groups with us that evening. And Scott, I believe you've posted this on our socials.
Yep,
Right?
I posted it. It's on our Facebook. It's on all our socials. It's on our website. And there's been some other emails that have been sent out to some community-based organizations. But if there are any other organizations interested, please visit www.musd.org for more details, or go to our Facebook page and please register.
I think also, Scott, would you include it in our board highlights that'll go out this week? Because
Definitely.
that is
Great
all
idea.
community.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
All right.
And we should also make sure we notify our PTA leaders of our schools
That's
as
already,
well as
that's
our
been done.
district PTA leaders.
Mm-hmm. And we've actually had some PTA people already register, which is great. But we need more. We want more. Want more voices in there.
Thank you.
I have one announcement. The second harvest is having their food distribution September 5th. And I believe at the high school as well too. Still the same site.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep, and I'd like to make an announcement that the City of Milpitas, Lions Club, and Rotary Club, we are continuing to distribute the masks. Towards the end of the last school year, I approached several schools regarding masks for our Milpitas families, and I'm starting that back again. And so if I haven't approached your school yet, or if you are in need of masks, please let me know. Send me an email and I will get them to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Trustee Yepshuan.
Okay, I do have an announcement and a request here. Well, we see that our Assistant Superintendent of Learning and Development is not here with us today. And Chin is here in place of Norma. The reason why Norma is not here today because her mother.
Taking care of some personal business.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Superintendent.
Yeah, thank you.
Are there any other announcements, requests?
Thank you to the district staff and the community and I'm sorry, go ahead, Michael.
Oh, okay, yeah. Again, I've just been following what's been going on with this pandemic and any updates on like the science front. I just want to make a public service announcement. You know, this virus is not a hoax. It's not exaggerated. It's really important to follow, you know, shelter in place and social distancing and wear a mask. I was reading in the news, there was some pastor in Florida, and he kept being skeptical about this and thought it wasn't so bad, and then he got it and he passed away from it. So, like, again, please, everyone, do take this seriously and stay safe.
Agreed.
Chris?
That's a good note to end on, the fact that we all need to stay diligent. Thank you.
Okay. If nothing on the left, nothing on the right, is there a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Motion to adjourn the meeting.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, everybody. Meeting adjourned. Thank you, everyone. Have a great night.
Have a good night, everyone. Please stay safe.
Great job, everybody.
Take care.
Keep up the good work. We need you.
Let's do the wave.